Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and we are back at the Red Brick House. We weren't actually down working on this last week. Had a project to do up in Pennsylvania on another old house. It seems like that's all I get are a bunch of old houses. But we're back for this week. We have some other work we need to do at some other properties, but we're also going to be working on the Red Brick House. And we're going to take a look and see how we did, of course, last week, because the week before, we did some plastering of the heavy plaster on the walls in there, and we're going to see, because we did that and we hit the road, see if that cracked and how it's doing, because if that did well, we can actually put finished plaster. So let's see. We ended up filling in here because this was a lot of low spots, and we had the bricks all come off. Let's see. It feels solid. I got a couple of little cracks, but that's because it's so thick. It actually looks really good. Oh man. So we're going to start wetting these walls down so we can start doing the finished plaster. Unfortunately, I only have a couple of buckets of the finished plaster, so I can only go so far. We left too late in Pennsylvania to go by Lancaster to pick up the mortar, but we're okay. I'm really pleased. This is the sand plaster coat. I don't know if you guys could tell before, but there was a real bad low area right here. There had been actually water damage. See, the problem with this is a house with plaster and stuff needs to be lived in, because it needs the heat and everything else and the movement of the air to keep it stable. And the thing was, this wall had wallpaper over top of it, and then they had the roof leaks underneath of it, which didn't allow it to have the moisture exchange, and it didn't have the heat and stuff of people living in the air movement, and it cracked up bad in some places. It was really bad right through here and up in here and down at the bottom. But we've got this, see, you hear that? That's good and solid. That's attached real well, and amazingly, there's no cracks in any of this. Just a little one right here, but it's still solid. And we filled in where the brick were showing up here. So we're going to wet this walls down in here for the next couple of days, and then we're going to be able to go back in and start putting the finished plaster over it. So that will make this room look 100 times better. This, I really feel good about this right now. That means we don't have any more bricks showing anywhere as far as the plaster goes. We're going to, before I go over and hang this drywall in the other space, light sand on the floor. This has 2 coats of the varnish. That's on it. This is the satin. So let me ask you, baby. Yeah. This is not the semi-gloss. This is actually the satin. Now we have a couple of gallons of the satin varnish, and only a couple of gallons of the gloss. If I put gloss on it, it's going to be really glossy on top of it, or we could continue with just the satin look.
I like the satin.
You like the satin? Because like up in our bedroom, it's actually semi-gloss.
I don't think it should be too shiny in this old ass house.
And this old ass, yeah, that's just dust from sanding and stuff. We'll go through and wipe it all down. Yeah, you know I'm dirty. That's why they call me Pigpen. Okay, because I'm a cloud of dust. So we go ahead and start doing that stuff, and we're gonna probably start getting rid of some of the stuff that we don't need any longer in here, because we have a lot of tools and things that we've been using for the whole thing that won't be so much necessary. For example, my shaper over here, basically I've got 6 doors for the 2 vanities and the backside of the island. We put those together. I can take that back over and put it in the garage. And we have the 2 doors here that are going to go upstairs for the closet and for the bedroom. So we'll actually put doors on in there. So that will get there. Now, depending on how things go, like I said, I've got to go over and hang about 5 sheets of drywall or so and mud and tape that up and do a carpet repair this week. Depending on how that goes and my time goes, what we may do is we may get the drum floor sander and try and sand out this floor in here. We can't do both rooms at the same time because we can't varnish at the same time. So what we would do is basically sand, because we're still doing plaster in this room and brick repair. We'd go through and sand all of this and sand to here and try and varnish the floor in this section, because then we could basically open up the door, put a board across, and be able to go upstairs and so on, and still be able to use that space, or still need to be able to go upstairs. We can go in the side door and of course access the bathroom over there. So that's why it's good to go ahead and get that floor finished in there, so that way we can use that. We can always use that as a bedroom or bedroom and bathroom as well while we do this section. So at least there's a second exit for the house. That would really make this a whole lot nicer to be able to say, when you walk in and get all of our tools out, walk in and this is cleaned and more finished. Would be great, as a matter of fact. Up here, of course, we haven't been focused up here as much as we have been downstairs, but I would love to go ahead and get the soffit up in here put in and closed up, and hide that. You can see already just having the lower portion of this, and when you look up and you'll see the boxing of that this, and we'll go through and caulk it once we're done. This will make this look 100 times better, and hope that we have enough finished plaster to finish this in the rooms downstairs. I don't think we do, but if we can at least get a good coat on the worst of it, it'll make it look that much better. So we've got a lot of work to do. We've gotten the truck unpacked and just figure out where we're going to start first. I'll probably start first on getting that floor lightly sanded, get the varnish on that. The kitchen counter, I put the first bit of epoxy, and we can go down and see that. In the downstairs counter, the first coat of the epoxy resin gets absorbed into all the cracks. Now the thing that's funny is I kept filling up some of the holes and they kept draining. So what you may have with some of these wormholes is these may go like all over the place inside of it, because you see there's nothing on the top of it, so that it got absorbed in. So basically that is our lock-in coat. Now we'll go through, we'll mix up some more of this, and we're going to go through, we'll do a little bit of a sanding on top of it, which helps it to adhere, but then we'll pour some more of that and try and get the joints in here filled real good. And then we're going to need to let it dry out for a good day or two before we sand it and put in the next coat, depending on how well it goes. So we got a lot of things that we're going to be doing, and again, we're not going to be working solely over here. We're going to be working also on another spot, so we will be busy. All right, I better get to work.